Hello, this is Nick from Breaking Press Games, and I'm here today to talk about the Protectorate of Jenulane, which is on Kickstarter right now. We've already done one video, one design diary video, where we talked about the inspiration that led to the Protectorate of Jenulane. In this video, I want to talk about the mechanics, because if you've never played a one-on-one adventure, you may not have an understanding of how things are going to be a little bit different. So this video breaks down the mechanical aspects of that and how they were handled in this adventure. So one of the things that is going to come up many times in this video is the idea of many fail states. And so there was a great video by Matt Colville, I will link it over here, that covered this idea of many fail states. And the idea is, he uses the example of Indiana Jones in the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and diving across the pit and running across the trapped stone floor. When you are trying to represent something like that, if a single dice roll just results in the character dying, you are just going to have a 20-minute long adventure, and that's going to be the end of it. You want to have, especially in the case of a adventure where you have just a single player, if you want it to be a 2-hour adventure and you want to have a lot of different exciting elements, you are going to need to set up a system in order to be able to represent the character failing but not dying, failing and sometimes going backwards, failing sometimes and going forward, but you want to have this situation where the character just does not insta-die. And so I feel like we've done a really good job of doing that, and I want to talk about that. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to the previous video in case you haven't watched it and talk about the setup. So this adventure was originally written for my friend Shane, who wanted to have the experience of his 0-level peasant transitioning to becoming a 1st-level cleric, and he wanted to be able to have that training montage. And so this was 24 pages that was originally written over the course of a week. I had NPCs, the tower detailed, and then 7 encounters. And over time, this has ballooned to, closer to 48 pages. But, so in that initial tower setup, one of the things that I did that isn't really related to the mechanics of things, but if you have a player that is really into role-playing, this is going to be an important setup. So, for Shane, I gave what I will call the Fight Club experience. The waiting on the porch, the being pulled in, being indoctrinated, meeting the different cast of characters, before being thrown into an adventure of sorts. And so the adventure, the reason why it's broken into 2 sections is that sandbox is really important if you want to have that experience. It's totally not necessary in order to run this adventure at a convention or do it as a quick one-shot. You can just jump straight to the Path of the Valorous and get into skill challenges and puzzle challenges and fighting monsters. So it all depends. It's set up to be able to do both. That being said, let's talk about the actual path, because this is where we're going to get into the mechanical aspects. So when you're about to enter the path, it depicts, just like on the cover, there is this entryway, this freestanding entryway that is in a garden or a forest, and you step through into a shadow realm. And before you have the character step into the shadow realm, they're going to need some things to be able to assist them in their journey. So, first things first, the judge rolls for 3 things. One is the avatar, one is the adversary, and one is the victim. The avatar is usually an animal that represents some aspect of Gorhan the Helmed Vengeance, and as they proceed through the path, this animal appears a number of times. It has kind of like a mystical quality. Depending on how they interact with that animal, it will give different boons. So depending on what that particular animal represents, a different boon will be given. So, the Adversary. The Adversary, as the character is proceeding through the path, there is going to be some sort of villainous creature that appears in the distance, and you feel like you are either being hunted or you are the hunter, depending on your mindset. But it is in order to set up this build to an inevitable conflict. And then the third thing is the victim. Gorhan is the helmed vengeance, and so if there isn't a victim, you don't have that sense of vengeance. And so there is a chart of different victims that could appear in the adventure. And for example, the adversary is encountered and there is some injured human laying on the ground. They need help. And as you approach, the adversary disappears into the mist. Now, the victim is there to both set up that feel, but also the victims can assign boons depending on what type of victim and what the player does. And so here are these, building things, these building boons that will assist the player in being able to conquer the various challenges that come before them. The next thing before they enter is as depicted in the image of the cover, you see fountains on either side of the gate, you see a blood stain. These things are representative of an opportunity for the character. And spoilers, deep spoilers, I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. If you're going to play this, you shouldn't watch this all the way through. You've probably learned too much already. So the fountain on either side of the gate, this is an opportunity to perform some type of sacrifice to Gorhan the Helmed Vengeance. If you do, and depending on the nature of the sacrifice, you will get additional luck. The player will get additional luck. And so this will give them the opportunity to burn that luck in order to, once again, help conquer those challenges. You can make it all the way through without these blessings of Gorhan, but at the same time, they make a great addition. So, the other thing, when they get the luck, you don't want to tell them, oh, and you just got D6 luck. No. You want to tell them that if they do make a sacrifice, that they are flooded with courage and faith. You want to give that sense of something happened, but you don't know exactly what. And you're going to want to, at various points as they make dice rolls, particularly if they're not particularly familiar with Dungeon Crawl Classics, would you like to burn some luck? So, moving on to the items. So before you enter into the path, Brennan the Squire offers you 2 of 6 items, offers the character 2 of 6 items. These items are things like a fine pair of boots, a vial of holy water, a holy symbol, a ceremonial dagger. So all of these things exist in order to give the player a leg up on some of the challenges. If there are no right answers, you might end up choosing the boots and not going across any of the challenges that require the additional, I say require, benefit from the +1 that the boots would give on certain agility checks. But they exist so that the player has a sense of agency. Oh man, I wish I would have chosen this, or I made the right choice in choosing this. So, player agency. They step into the path of the Valorous and they enter the Shadow Realm. And they walk along the path, and a point is reached where they see a stone in the path, and the stone, a waystone. And the waystone, they walk along, and the waystone has, let's say, two symbols on it. And one seems to be leaning to the right, and one seems to be leaning to the left. And so this allows them to make a choice. Do I want to go to this thing that looks like a waterfall, or do I want to go to this thing that looks like, what is that? Maybe a mausoleum? It's some sort of building. And so this gives the player agency in their experience. Now, currently there are 13 different encounters, and the path, you walk along 5 of them. There is a start encounter, a finish encounter, and then you choose randomly 5 in between. And when I say randomly, the choice of 2. And so this allows for great replay value because you can go back in multiple times and experience something completely new between the D6 charts for the avatar, adversary, and victim, and then the different encounters. And then within the different encounters, there are additional changes to the experience depending on some of the planar things, like there's a set of stairs, there is a D6 chart that is going to give a bunch of different things that could happen. So let's talk about those specific encounters. So the player has chosen a direction to go in, and those different encounter areas, they are set up to be combat challenges, ability challenges, or puzzle challenges. Sometimes they will combine multiple of these elements because the adversary can pop up in various different places. And it makes it a bit more of a challenge to go across a log, for example, if there is a creature standing in the middle of it blocking your path. But that is not always how it is going to play out. It all depends on a variety of factors. So each of these different encounters is going to challenge the player. They're going to challenge their stats. It's going to challenge them in combat, and it is also going to give them puzzles that they have to solve. So this really creates that ability for the character to have these multiple fail states. The other thing having to do with multiple fail states, and I do talk about that in the other video, is that DCC already had a system in place with their spell system for many fail states. So when you cast a spell in DCC, you roll a 1 and it's a crit fail. You roll a 2 through an 11 if it's a first level spell, a 2 through 11 and it just fails, and then anything above an 11 and there are incremental levels of success. I took this concept and I wanted to have that experience of being set back and things going wrong. And so when you go to do one of the ability challenges, you have them roll, and they're rolling based upon their agility. So the agility, if it's an agility test, they're going to use their agility modifier, for example. And as they roll, they may end up being set back because there are incremental stages of failure. And so you might get pushed back, you might fall on your knees, and then you're clinging to the log for dear life, and you take, maybe D3 subdual damage. So there are these multiple fail states in order to ensure that the character doesn't necessarily instantly die, and that's where that luck and what have you comes in, because they roll the dice and they know they had a crap roll, and they're like, I'm going to burn some luck. And so, once again, DCC with its luck system makes this even better, and it gives you the multiple fail states, the many fail states, and you can visualize with your dice roll, I need to up this so that things go better. The other thing that mechanically, when we talk about the combat challenges, I incorporated a lot of subdual damage. There are monsters that slowly drag you down, and so you want to you give the character multiple chances to break free, to throw holy water, to do a number of different things in order to escape the creature before it inevitably kills you, or a group of creatures. So that was built into the adventure as well, in order to create that tension, but give the player a chance, give the character a chance. And then the other thing with these challenges that I would be remiss to not mention is, because it is a training adventure for a cleric or a warrior, this is a fantastic opportunity for them to utilize their mighty deeds. There are opportunities with the victim to apply healing, the ability to turn unholy. All of these things exist within the adventure in order to be able to have that training montage, to feel like Luke on Dagobah, and to be going through these experiences and feel like you've got a shot. And once again, that single die roll is not going to destroy your chances of survival. So that is the mechanics video. I hope that was helpful and gives you a better insight into the Path of the Valorous and the Protectorate of Jenulane. Thank you for supporting the Kickstarter. Please tell your friends, post it on social media, all that good stuff. One of the things that I almost got through this video without talking about. So within the Kickstarter rewards, there is mention of a singular stretch goal, and one of those stretch goals, I just showed you my poorly drawn cards that I used in running the adventure at Spawn of Cyclops Con and a number of individual games. We did, at one point a couple of months ago, post this on social media. I had started drawing much nicer cards. And if we get past the $5,000 stretch goal, these will become available as an add-on. I haven't finished drawing them all out, but you can get a sense of what they look like. And you can also get hints at the different types of challenges that are involved in the Path of the Valorous. So hopefully we can get through to that stretch goal, and we'll get those cards made. And if somebody wants to add them on in order to use them in their games, fantastic. If not, that's cool too. But that being said, thank you for supporting our Kickstarter. Thank you for supporting Breaker Press Games. And as always, thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. This is Nick from Breaker Press Games signing off. Have a good night. Bye.